Long
We were
time.
talking about that, and I said quarterly might be a bit much, but by yearly, like every spring and every fall go, right after Easter and right before.
But people can go there on their own if they want.
And, but,
Right.
well, yeah, you can sign, I was telling Chuck that, you could sign up and they'll fit you in with a group.
Yeah,
But as a church.
I mean,
like
we
every
had-
spring
we
and
had-
every fall.
somebody at our thing that wasn't from us, the guy who was doing the ceiling and that, he was evidently just there as a lone person.
Yep.
Volunteer, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom?
Hey, Tom.
Morning.
I think you're right. It's better as a group in the sense that, again, you bring people together, common cause. I have to keep that.
Well, and then, I mean, Emmanuel has a Facebook page,
Right,
post it on Facebook, make it
Mhm.
public, let people see what we're doing and let them know that, you know, you're gonna do one every April and one every November and, or October or whatever. And get
But this
people from the
congregation, it does
community.
take at least 4 weeks to announce it before you actually organize it, so. Because people come once a month.
yeah, but you know what, who knows?
Did the newsletter help though? Well, like you say, once a month.
You know what,
That's the newsletter.
each avenue that we take may reach a handful of people.
7 times in 7 ways.
You know, so, I mean, some people see the Facebook, some people are never on Facebook,
Right.
Yeah, I don't go on Facebook.
you know?
I don't.
Some people
I only go on Facebook, post the Emmanuel
see
Wilson stuff.
email, you know, other people say, I get so many emails, I just delete it, and I don't look
I'm more into privacy. That's my big concern. I never.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb is 7 times in 7 ways.
at it. Yeah,
7 different avenues and 7 different times.
because it just seems that everybody has their own,
We're inundated with information. at this
Yes,
point.
boy, is
right,
that the-
it's
oh,
just too much, and you can't keep any of it straight.
Exactly. I spend the first couple hours every morning just going through the emails, throwing out the junk that's,
Yeah, I was
Ah,
not in the office.
I still have
Monday,
9,000.
And then you come back, you
And
have
I came
560
back and you have a
emails.
bazillion
Yeah,
emails. It took
yeah.
me the first 4 or 5 hours of being in the office just to get through my emails.
Yeah,
You notice I left you alone for the first 4 or 5
Yes,
hours.
and I greatly appreciate that, more than you know.
Yeah, 10 years ago, we used to send out a newsletter and a PDF file and introduction. Doesn't work anymore because people get too many emails. I get
Exactly.
solicitations all the time.
so that's what I get, that's what I'm throwing out. And they keep passing the names on to other mail lists, you know,
Right.
so cascading effect, and so you're
If you
getting.
unsubscribe, you get 5 new emails.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
right.
say that, I never unsubscribed.
Well, they know you're
because
real because
when
you
do,
responded.
then you get,
Responded.
you know, a zillion other ones that come through.
Yeah. Yeah,
My brother did for his birthday, he did one of those Facebook fundraisers. So I donated to his fundraiser. Well, now I'm getting email after email from this group that he fundraised for.
Yeah.
and they reuses your email, huh? Yeah, yeah.
Wounded Warriors.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Advice.
I can remember, yeah.
yeah, I donated to them.
All right, Chuck, you are live.
Am I? Oh, okay, let's go to work then. Let's go to work. Okay. All right.
Not that you have to start, but you are live and it is recording, so whenever you want to start this.
Oh, okay. Well, gotta look at my notes and see what I gotta say here. Okay, hopefully, well, first of all, welcome. Hopefully more will be joining us shortly. That
Give
would
it
be
about
nice.
5 minutes and they begin to show up, yeah.
We're just talking about the meals packing for Feed the Children last night, and I was thinking, you know, that's one thing that's kind of far away in distant lands, whereas what we're going to talk about this morning is more local, more intimate, more direct interpersonal relationship. So I mean, both are needed, no question about that, but that's the kind of the change we have. The transition. And the point being that I think we need to, the difference, as I see it, is that Safe Families more focuses on the immediate needs of children we've come to the point where we're relying on other agencies to do that. And now we're trying to bring it back in-house and show the real Christian love that should be that, which we've lost, is my view. It's an important thing. One of my favorite movies is, in fact, I just watched it last week, I think, because I watch it a lot, is The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. And she's it's the family. They see this young teenager walking along in the cold and the dark, homeless, just let go from a foster care. They bring him in and they just give him constant love and everything. And he turned his whole life around, He gets education, he had low IQ, low learning skills, but they turned that all around out of their love. Now they happen to be rather wealthy and were able to afford it, but they were tutors, but ultimately he winds up being a professional football player, Mike Lord. So, I mean, it's just a demonstration of the love that people, person to person can evoke in other people and really help take care of them and grow them. So that's why what interested me in the whole program to begin with, the ministry. I don't want to call it program, I want to call it a ministry. It's really what it is. It's a ministry.
So we've done global yesterday, today we're doing local.
Today we're trying to do local. Okay, now we're going to see if I remember your instructions here to we're going to switch to a video. So
I'm going to switch to video, then we have to close out of the presentation.
That's right. I got to close out of the presentation.
But you don't use that. Which video do you want? I'll put it up for you.
The first one at the end.
Okay, so that remote would put you through the slides here,
Oh, okay.
but we need to close this out.
Yeah, close that. Oh, that's what I was
They were
saying. I
so
didn't look
excited
down
to
at the
get
end.
all those
Okay.
boxes of Bibles.
There we go.
Yeah.
And
His family
the,
members.
nope,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that,
it was
that.
just kind of made me feel like, ooh,
Actually,
and they
there's
just go
also
right
some
into
more. I
this
found
big
more this
storage
morning.
area.
Yeah.
And they only need it.
There we go.
in boxes and then
Right now, there are over 400,000 American kids in foster care. But did you know there are exponentially more with parents who desperately love their kids, who are perilously close to being swept up into the system? And the reason is they're alone and facing crisis.
It's just hard to even imagine that when you're in trouble and you look at your phone and you actually have nobody to call, there are a ton of people that are in that situation.
Safe Families exists to provide struggling families with love, community, and support before it becomes necessary for the state to step in and remove their children. Put another way, Safe Families exists to keep families together.
All throughout Scripture, when we look from the Old Testament all through the life of Christ and the early church, a common thing that was partnered with their worship was their love and care of their neighbor. And oftentimes their neighbor is one who is struggling, one who is vulnerable. You think of when Scripture talks about the orphan or the widow, they're talking about those who are vulnerable in our society, who don't have support, who don't have family, who don't have a community to love and to help them. Our call as Christians is to be that family for them. God has woven that in all throughout His story. We mobilize families in your church to come alongside these families who are struggling at their time of greatest need to support a parent, to keep a kid safe, and to help keep a family unit together.
What's so cool about the Safe Families movement is that there are so many ways you and your church family can be involved in this community of love and healing. Host families take in children for short periods of time while their parents get back on their feet. Family friends provide support to families in need through mentoring and transportation, as well as to host families through babysitting and emotional support. Resource friends provide various types of goods and services to families in need to help parents get back on their feet. Think clothing and meals. Family coaches are trained to provide resources to families in crisis. They also ensure that the kids are well cared for in host family homes. And Safe Families churches are spiritual communities that bring safe families in as a ministry of their church to organize and unleash volunteers to serve their community.
God has designed us to live in community, and He has called us to live on mission. And He calls us to do that to those who are most vulnerable in society. Safe Families provides the opportunity for you to both live in community and live on mission, and be community for families who don't have the community that they need for their success and their health and their growth. So I just want to invite you, join our community and be community for a family who is in need. And you're going to see your life fulfilled as you live out your design and mission, and you're going to see a family's life changed.
Ah! You're too far away.
We can't see your silly face. Come over here.
Okay.
Make a silly face. Oh my goodness, that's so silly. You make your silly face. Oh my goodness, you guys are making the silliest faces.
Oh shit.
Close them.
Oh shit.
Get the monster over there.
Well, you've really got that really set up to go fast.
He goes fast, because I go fast.
I can't.
I got it.
Okay.
Step in there.
Okay, good.
You can just take the presentation remote. You're gonna go through the slides now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'll bring that one up.
I'm pressing the wrong side, that's it. Okay.
So you're gonna go back to that one.
Go, yeah, we can go down to the next one, actually.
You wanna go to the other video?
No, down to the next slide.
That's where you got the remote.
Okay,
Press the right button. There you go.
there we go, okay.
You thought I was joking when I said the next pastor should be a consultant.
You're right.
Not that our
Yeah.
current pastor is not in that wonderful in that area.
Yeah,
And a number of
you're
others,
right.
but when you're coming up with a list.
So one of the
Even though I
things-
worked 30 years in that industry,
It keeps moving on without.
it moves on without you.
That's fast.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I don't need to do it anymore until I gotta do this. Obviously, this is important, the role of the family, we all know that's important. And the whole purpose of Safe Family for Children is to keep the family together. Now, because of things that might come up in life, that's a problem, and people need help from time to time, and that's where Safe Family hopes this, the goal is to step in and help them through those difficult times. My observation is that, I think we all understand that family is the biggest source of attitudes and values. And that's why I want to keep them together. We don't want them split apart when they go into foster care. That's ignored kind of, but that's where the family is, that's their whole goal. As a matter of fact, it seems to me that we saw a very unfortunate example of when that breaks down. That was last weekend down in Chicago, when people were just running crazy, because obviously the family had broken down, their families, and fortunately, way too many of them.
Dancing on top of cars.
Yeah, dancing on top of cars and whatever else out. So that's why, in my view, we want to really keep them together. We don't want them falling apart. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Okay, mission, obviously we said before, to provide family-like support to those families that are in need. Don't want to see them dissolve. We don't want to take over, and the Safe Family does not take ownership of those children. They're just temporary. In fact, the average period of time that they're in these situations, host families, is about six weeks. So it's meant for short term, not long term. It's not a replacement for the DCFS and foster care. As a matter of fact, CBS had a couple of programs on recently about the foster care system, and it's a terrible situation to be in. Some of these kids get shifted from home to home, foster home to foster home, hundreds of times. And how to form any sort of relationship? How can there be any continuity in their life when they're getting moved around that much? It's a sad situation. Whereas that's what Safe Family hopes to avoid, them going into foster care and being with a loving Christian family for the period of time, so that the child is safe, the parent feels safe, that they're being cared for until they get their problem, whatever it might be, employment, health, until they resolve their problem. Then it goes back, the children come back to them. 95% of the children that go into Safe Families are returned back to the original family. So That's a core thing. Okay, wrong one. Better use the right one.
That's it.
There we go. Okay, core values, hospitality. Again, we heard that in the presentation before, where it's hospitality that we used to have years ago, you know, when there was a problem in the community. It was your family, your relatives, your community that came around and took care of you. Your house, you had flooding, whatever it might be, house burned down. Other members in that community would come and help you out. We're trying to do the same thing, get that same mentality back, that we don't want to outsource it to an agency. We want people to be people, interpersonal relationship, showing their love for them. The compassion to listen to people and understand what their problem is, not judge the problem, but just understand what it is and try to relate to them so that they can be, they feel supported and they'll be able to solve their problems. There are people within the group that can actually help with certain types of things, but you want to give them the confidence that they can go on and be self-sustaining after whatever the crisis might be that they're using the service for. You want them to return back to their normal life in feeling that they are empowered. You want to help them get to that level of confidence that they can do that. And of course, generosity. You're opening up your home to children, the host families are, and all the groups surrounding them, and we'll talk about them in a moment, that support that whole structure is important to this. I think that's the next one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, here we go. So obviously the key part of it is the host family. They're the people who are opening up their homes to bring in a child and raise them, take care of them, nurture them, see for their needs. What's in my, here we go. Okay, yeah, host family is critical. Family coaches, these are people who more or less are kind of professional. They check in on the families and they check to be sure that the children in the families are being cared for. There's no problems, there's no issues that have to be resolved in terms of how they're being treated in the host family. They're also helping the family member that is, or members that are having a problem, resolve their problem. They set goals for them and they help them work through those goals. They give them the confidence. So that's what the family coach is doing, trying to get that family back on their feet as quickly as possible and with confidence, okay? The family friend is kind of as I view it, kind of the first step in the process where people are helping the host, primarily the host family, with the things that they might not be able to do. Like if you have a host family and they have to be away or unavailable, then a family friend may be called in to make transportation, bring them back, run errands for them, things like that. So you're just a support system to the host family. On occasion, you might meet the actual placing parent, but not generally, it's to the host family. Then you have the, who am I missing? Oh, the resource friend. That's another one where they're not doing as much with the person, the family itself, the host family themselves. They're more looking at the resources that the host family may need. Diapers, clothing, whatever it might be, that reduces the financial burden on the host family. As we've done here, we've taken children in to Open Arms to as daycare for people who are hosting children, and they can take care of that, and the host family is avoided that cost. So those are the key roles in all of this.
And we have a room up here, which is Ruth's upper room.
And Ruth's room, right, we're gonna, looking to
resource closet.
change that to a resource closet for exactly that purpose. Exactly. Okay, what's next? This is the whole point. We want to empower the parent to help them develop skills that maybe they haven't learned at their point in life. So they can, again, be more successful on their own once the children do come back. And most importantly, a lot of people need encouragement that they can accept these responsibilities, and maybe they hadn't had to do that in the past. So we want to be, not only listen to what their problems are, but also help them overcome whatever it is that's being a detriment and why they have to reach out. We want them to be, the family to be whole again and functioning. That's the big thing about that. Okay. Family friend, like we said, it's a volunteer, kind of the first, that's where most people start in the program. And finally got through the requirements of all of that. And now I'm qualified for a family, as a family friend, so I can be called on at any time to go out and help host families. So I can do that. But it's not a trivial activity. You have to actually learn how to detect abuse and report it, abuse and things like that, to DCFS. So there is a crinkle, you're fingerprinted. Those are all the things you have to do. But hey, as far as I'm concerned, it's a small thing to do for the kind of results that it can yield for the families in need.
And the more people volunteer as family friends, it spreads the load over.
And it spreads the load over, right. And what they do, how they actually work it, I just found this out last week. They actually kind of send out a broadcast message to everyone, internet message to everyone saying, we've got a family that needs this, like maybe needs transportation. And then you call in to Safe Families and they connect you with the family that has the need.
Can you just go over, Chuck, what training you went through?
Sure,
this whole
yeah,
thing?
yeah, right.
I mean, I don't mean to interrupt your.
No, that's
presentation,
fine.
but
No, that's important to know. Well, the one that took the most.
You went to a different, did you go to a church or did you go to someplace?
No,
when you did the
well,
training?
for the Safe Families, they offer classes. They can do it online. I tried that first. I didn't find it very useful. And then they do it in person. And that's much better, I think. You go in person, I guess. Maybe that's just the way I learn better.
Yeah.
But you principally do it, at least the ones that I've seen come through have been down in the city, north side of the city. And it's a kind of an all-day training, but they go through all of the steps and all what you have to do. The other one that is online is DCFS. You have to do that when they take you through how do you recognize abuse and whatever.
So is the concept that they're trying to do this, I mean, I understand it, you have a DCF component with the abuse and identifying that. So that if you have that, if you see that, then you have to report
it, exactly.
But the concept is that this is kind of operating outside of DCF because you don't want to put them, because that would be the foster care system. And this is kind of like to try to give families that have room to try to do it on their own some support so that they don't have to go into that system.
Exactly. That's the whole point of the whole effort, the whole mission is to prevent children from having to go into DCFS.
But then this training is
and that's why, but you still have to comply with the regulations.
Right.
That's when they first started it out. They got, DCFS wouldn't let them even do it. It took, I think, a year or so before Dave Anderson could finally get them to recognize that we could do it, and we had to comply with all their rules and regulations for children. So
the host family has to comply with the DCFS regulations,
right.
But the family friend is just.
You have to recognize, right, but you still have to recognize all the things that might be a problem, because maybe you pick up a child and maybe you see bruises or something, and so you would have to report it. You observe it, you have to report it. You don't try to understand how it got there. You just recognize it and report it, and then they have investigators that come out.
The family friend and the host family are both integral, as I understand it, are both integral parts of Safe Families for Children,
Yes.
under the Safe Families for Children umbrella, but they operate differently because a host family may, let's say, host the children for a number of days or weeks, whatever the parent needs, but a family friend is called on for an immediate.
Specific
activity, but the results and the needs for the training and the state requirements are the same.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
because And anytime you come in contact with children, you have to be aware of what's going on. Like, Jesse told me that at Open Arms, all the teachers take that every year. They have to go through that, what to look out for in terms of child abuse and neglect. They go through that.
For Open Arms to get a license, they all have to go through that.
Yeah, so they're going through it every year. I think Jesse said that the normal, it's 3 years, but she has them do it every year. And it's a good reminder because it's not insignificant. It's an important role. And if it's not complied with, we're running into trouble with DCFS.
And then the resource run doesn't need any training, you just. support.
Right, because you're not expected to be in contact with the children. That's not part of their role.
So anybody in this congregation could be a resource.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things I like about this program is there's a multiplier effect. If we talk about it as a ministry, it's not just the host family. It's all those that slide that you had with
You're right.
all those people.
Right, a good point.
And so we in Emmanuel, we want to reach out in the community.
Yeah.
This could be really effective.
Right, that's why the family church is there, because it meant to be a ministry for the whole church to do, and everybody, whatever their role that they're comfortable in.
Right.
Then they can perform that, but it's still getting to the goal of keeping children out of foster care.
Right.
So then looking at this group of people, you would be a ministry lead?
No, I'm actually going to be both. I'm the ministry lead for the congregation, but I'm also a family friend.
Oh, wow.
So we don't have an official document that has us as a partner with Safe Families for Children at this point. We're not at that point, but you would be the coordinator for any relationship.
Yeah.
Do you have to do you do that, like a formal agreement, or do they require that, Pastor, do you know?
I think you just have to sign up for it, to being a participant. They have different levels. We're at the entry level. Participating church is where you'd be. And then from there it goes into supporting church, and there's one other after that. So
Community church would be the one that coordinates for other churches in the
yeah. So there are different levels of it, and I'll have to look into the application for it. I don't know. Nobody's ever mentioned it in any of the training I had.
St. Peter's Lutheran Church in Arlington Heights is a community church. So they started off as a partner and then became a supporting church, and
I think it's
grew to being
lead church, and then they go into that.
Yeah.
So there are different levels. And one of the requirements, this I remember when Jill was out here the first time, to get into the next level, I think it was a lead church, you were actually had people hosting in that church.
Yeah.
Right. Or didn't have to with a supporting church, you're just supporting others, families from other churches who are hosting.
And you mentioned there's somebody that just got a place in the Des Plaines that we could actually support.
Exactly, right. And when I spoke to Jill about it, she mentioned that it was I think it was a younger woman and unchurched, which again, something we could look at.
This is what we're here for, too.
Which is what we're here for,
As Tom
exactly.
mentioned, as a multiplier, once you make that connection and build those relationships.
And the relationships are meant not just for a set period of time. The idea is, and I've seen this through other videos, that these develop into long-term relationships. So even though the child is back into to the parent's home, because of what you've gone through together with that family, those relationships can retain.
Yeah.
They keep on for years. So.
Or even a lifetime for that.
Or a lifetime, yes. Even better. So let's see what we got. Where am I? I lost my place. We talked about that. Oh, okay, that's the end one, but let's keep going on. But I gotta get out of this to play the last one, right? I gotta close again.
Button down on the bottom, there you go.
Yep, got it.
And then go up to presentation on the left.
This one, right? Oh, boy, you have that one.
That mouse is
Which one? Oh, here we
I
go.
just touched it.
Oh, thank you.
Most of them are.
He says he said it fast because he's fast.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're gonna have
Unless
to
they're not as fast.
There you go.
I like to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Like a glacier.
Maybe not that.
There we go.
Thank you. This
was
is a story of
lost,
family who did host.
depressed. I was scared. I was lonely. I kept praying. Like, God, I need you to do something. We got nothing to eat. So I went to Kroger's and I got a loaf of bread and I got a couple packs of meat. And I got caught. I felt like God was answering my prayers. I went to jail and then I had to go to a halfway house. And I would never forget it. My son getting on the phone and breaking down and crying. And I knew right then and there I had to do something different. I got to find him somewhere that somebody will take care of him until I'm able to take care of him.
We got a text and it was for a 9-year-old little boy and it was for a potential 6-month placement. And we had just finished a placement with 2 little girls and we were kind of like, should we take a break? I remember plain as day, we went into our bedroom and we knelt down.
We didn't want any kids older than ours. We didn't want real long-term placements. We knelt to pray to explain to God why we weren't gonna do it, but that didn't work.
There's a little boy that doesn't have a home. He needs a place. And we kind of just looked at each other and what else is there to be said? Yes, we'll take him.
When they took Boston in, literally took him in with love, I said to Emily, just take care of my baby, please. He said, I will take care of him. And it lifted off of me. I knew he was gonna be okay.
Safe Families is not just a babysitting situation.
Right.
It's not just taking care of the child. Safe Families is here to show the love of Christ through just walking through the stresses of life with a mom who does not have the support that she needs while their children are being cared for in a safe environment. If my daughter needed help, I would step in and help her. If some of these moms need help, they don't have anyone to turn to.
As a host family, we have been just dramatically changed ourselves in the last 18 months that we've been doing this. It has changed our lives and we've seen so much more of Jesus here.
It's just been a really natural way to open up our home and keep families together because kids want to be with their moms. It will cost you your time, it will cost you your energy, your money, but our experience has been that the blessings far outweigh the cost. God has given us exactly what we've needed. It has forced us to rely on Him to provide for us.
We've been married 12 years, we've had kids for 10. This last year has been the best year, period.
There are currently 4,600 churches across the U.S. in 40 states that are participating in this. Plus, there are other, it is global. Canada, UK, Australia, Hong Kong, Ghana. So this is catching on, and obviously the hope now is to expand it and get more people involved in doing this to avoid this and keep families intact. That's the whole goal of this, and serve a sorely needed purpose for families that are in distress. And we all know right now, families are in more distress probably than any time in our memory, with all the things that are happening and how quickly they're happening. And so more and more stress is on the family. And anything we can do as Christians to help and reach out to them and help them through this, I think definitely a worthwhile mission for all of us.
Now, there's a difference between enabling a behavior and empowering a situation. Yeah. So what this does is it actually empowers the families that are in crisis to have overcome the crisis.
Yeah.
And working in the inner city in St. Louis, we saw many situations where churches were willing to come in and hand stuff out. And I said, they don't need a hand out, they need a hand up.
Yeah. Right.
Get them out of this crisis that they're in. Don't just come in and feed my kids candy.
What's that old
Give them
saying?
something that can really be useful.
That old saying, you train them to fish and then they can take care of themselves, right? You keep them, as opposed to feeding them, you treat how to take care of themselves, and that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Help them along in their life's journey, both not just the child, that's a temporary thing, but the parent as well, so that they can handle their issues going forward.
One thing that the inner city folks would tell me is just take care of my babies. That's what I'm looking for. Just take care of my babies.
That's what it sounded like that woman. So the first
Yes.
thing she said was.
It's a common thing, isn't it? It's a common thing. I mean, we all talk about that. Take care, if anything happens. Now, these are the unfortunate people who don't have anybody to take care of their children if they come up in an emergency.
Most of their family members are in the same crisis that they are, so.
Yeah, many of them are, right. So, but that's the whole point. These people have nobody else to turn to, and let's show that, that Christian love for them, help them through a difficult time. It's not like it's a big commitment for the most part, but can maybe save a family.
And the banner we're gonna put up over that was up over the entrance to the sanctuary, blessed to be a blessing to others.
Yeah, good. Yeah. That's what we want.
We've been blessed. Why?
Pass it on.
Do they have, for the closet thing, do they have a list?
Yeah, there is a
of
list.
Things that we can post?
Yeah, there's.
We have families that come through here that, they leave bags of stuff.
Yeah.
They just want to donate it and walk away, but
Well, yeah.
if we know what we're looking for.
There are things that
it
they
just might be
recommend you
easier
stay
to get
away
it.
from too.
Right,
A lot of different types of toys, electronic stuff.
right.
that-
So if we
but yeah,
had a list,
yeah, there is a list on the table upstairs.
okay,
It shows what they recommend and what they don't recommend you take in.
right.
And my goal is within a short period of time to start looking at Ruth's room up there and start organizing
getting
it for
closer.
that. Pardon?
We're getting closer. I got rid of another big box.
Did you? Yeah, last time I looked in, there's a lot of toys in there too.
Right, and part of that is because we originally told the teachers that what went in there of toys would just get distributed. So I don't know if there's toys that we want to hang on to, or if I just need to send these to Goodwill or wherever.
Yeah.
We tried taking them to a church, but
Yeah, that didn't,
Yeah.
so we become the church.
right.
Yeah. Well, I've said that experience before. The church comes, people don't want to get rid of stuff and they donate it to the church, and the church all of a sudden,
Right.
you got,
It's
you
just,
have
it's
no
a
place.
resource of plenty that we have in most cases.
If
So
you can
if
use
we
it.
can have a list,
Yeah.
that's in eyesight, of either where
Yeah.
they sign in or whatever, so that we can direct that and figure out what
I know
else.
there's one upstairs on the table.
Well, we used to
All
tell
right, well, I'll
people
look for that.
at Lutheran Church Charities is, if you're going to donate, is this something you would give to Jesus?
Yeah,
Don't just give us junk.
right,
It looks like that.
okay,
Don't give us stuff because you want it out of your.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I found was a lot of
But
what it
consider-
was.
Consider who you're giving it for.
Right, how it's gonna be used, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like, for example, some of the items, not baby walkers, mattresses, toys with batteries. Those are the
Don't
types-
want any of those.
Don't want those, yeah.
Well, thank you, Chuck, for volunteering to be the ministry lead on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think it's a very worthwhile activity on many different levels.
Do they accept gift cards like to Jewel or something like that? So-
That's
because
that's
all of a
another good one,
All
you're
of a
right.
sudden, a host family has another mouth to feed.
That's right.
And with the prices of groceries these days, if I was a host, that would be the one thing I would want more than anything.
You're right, that one.
I'm
and
feeding
that-
another
Another family,
mouth.
yeah, to help, because they may be encouraging extra expenses to bring another child, another mouth to feed. And yes, gift cards are a good way to do that, so that they can go to the grocery store and buy extra food that's needed. And you're right.
We do get phone calls here every week that are asking for gift cards. But if they have a family, we would like to refer them somewhere to handle it rather than just giving us a handout, right? So-
Yeah. It used to be when I was at St. Philip, they recommended you send them to the police station. Somehow they thought that was a better way to qualify them.
Yeah, it
That was
doesn't.
years ago. That was
It
years
doesn't
ago.
really work.
So-
We tried that with
I don't know how they
Dale.
would know.
But Safe Families would be an avenue for us to refer them to and then work them through that process. So they
Yeah.
have the support system there.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's another question. If a family needs help, but they don't need their children placed in short-term foster care, but they need help.
Sure.
Like with rides or with groceries or with diapers or whatever, to Safe Families for Life help in
I'd have
that
to
way
look into
too.
that. I don't know about that. I'll have to ask that question. I've got a meeting coming up next Tuesday and I'll ask that. Because I've only heard it related to children. Okay. I haven't
Because if you've got even if it's a couple and they're struggling to meet bills, usually they go to a church or they have children themselves that they need to get the children to doctor's appointments and they can't do it, or they have to go to a doctor and they need someone to pick up the kids and babysit them for a couple hours.
Well, in that case, you are talking about a child needing to be moved. That would definitely be something a family friend would do. But going back to your first question about just people who have other needs, you know, that children aren't in the picture, that I don't know that it would be involved with.
Safe Families for Children might not be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There might be other agencies that do that.
What are the children that are in this program? Are they staying overnight with the parent? Is that the concept, or are they staying overnight with the host family?
With the host family.
They stay overnight with the host family?
Right.
Is that in all cases, or is that in some cases, or?
As far as I know, it's all cases, because the placing family, that's what they call them, the placing family is putting them into the host family. Now, they have visitation, that's perfectly fine. They can communicate, they can meet, do everything, other things together. It's not like it's a legal matter. It's not. It's not, they're not transferring their children to somebody else.
But it's all outside of that, because like, you know, you get situations in DCFS when they have a host family. I mean, they have put you into foster care.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that you never let them see the parent because there's some kind of a legal entanglement, or there's been some kind of sexual assault or whatever. That's not, I mean, obviously that's not this situation, because this is much less, but they're not, I thought that I just was wondering if there was some situations where they just kind of were going to people for stability and they were really kind of taking care of the children. You know, the family the individual, the parent might have them at night, but was looking for like stability during the day or anything. But this is, you think it's more.
I've not heard of that situation. I'll ask that question again on Tuesday, see if if that's done in any situation, but I've never heard of any that I've come in contact with up to this point. It's always been that they go into the host family. I mean, there's constant communication between the placing family and the host family. That's going on all the time. And the visitation and all that is going on, so that the placing family is not prevented from interacting with the child. They have to, it's a mutual agreement between the host family, how they want it, what kind of relationship they want. How much time, you know.
So if I was a placing family.
Yeah.
And I needed, and say I was going I had to go to the hospital for surgery and I would be there for 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, that's recently happened. Yeah.
So then I would ask, say, Families for Children.
Right.
To take my children and place them with a host family.
Yeah.
And then that host family could bring my kids to the hospital to see me.
Right, that's right, they could.
But a family friend would be there if, say, the host family who's got my kids, has a meeting and can't pick up the kids.
Right.
So that's where a family friend would come in and say, okay, well, I'll pick up your kids from school and I'll babysit them until you're done with your meeting.
Babysitting is an important thing, yep.
Okay, so that's what a family friend
Could
does.
do. Right.
Okay.
They're not holding the child. They're just for a short period of time, just until that activity is completed, whether it's babysitting. Now, babysitting is a kind of a circumstance where it has to be done in the host family's home. And the reason for that is they inspect the home too, as part of the program, to be sure that it's a safe environment for children.
Right.
Because that's where so it's not like you can babysit in your home, your own home. It's got to be in a place that's been certified as being safe.
Right.
And it gives stability to the child.
And the child feels more comfortable in surroundings that they're already familiar with.
Okay.
Yeah, as opposed to brand new surroundings.
I like your shirt. I always love that shirt because you have two roles.
Me too.
You have two roles. The family friend, I think, is blue, and the street lead is pink. So does the pink hat. what's the next thing that we should do to be in the ministry lead for us? I mean, other people should be trained, or other people want to do it. What would you say is the next thing? What you're looking to do as the ministry lead to try to help
Well, I
establish
would
this here?
think that the next thing, we try to get as many people as we can who want to volunteer to be a family friend, so that we have people who can go out when a call comes in for a particular activity to be done. You kind of can say, yeah, we'll be able to do it. Now, host family, that might be, I think that if you can get to that point, then I think it's easier to get to the next step up, which is actually hosting. Okay. But I think you have to maybe get some sort of a feel for it. That's why I wanted to go down that road first, kind of see what kind of pitfalls you might come into, so that you can move into up to the next level if you feel, that you want to be able to do that. We hope we can get people who want to do that, to host actual host. Let's start it out and see how it feels first, and see everybody's
So right
comfortable.
now, we're a resource church.
Pardon?
Right now, we're a resource church.
Yes, that's the way I guess.
That's
Right.
where we're at. Next, you want to get to
To some
More
people,
family
that
family friends.
way, right.
Okay.
And then so slowly progress up it until, and as people feel the calling to do that, really share their love for other people, make those connections.
So they coordinate these things with people that need help.
Yes,
And
they
then
get,
they send out
broadcast
an
out.
email, and
Right.
then you, like, in the ministry lead or whatever,
Right.
then you see what you can do.
yeah, my original thought was wrong. And I was looking at kind of from a hierarchical point of view. I thought I knew they would take a call at their central office. I thought they would pass down to local church, but no, they just send broadcast messages out to the whole community that's doing, all the churches that are doing it, and have a member there who, and then people, all the people who have signed up and have been approved to do this will see the text message, and they can call in back to Safe Families down in Chicago and say, yeah, this is something I can do. I've got the time. I got what you need. And they perform that task.
That's probably more effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And then
Fewer connections, fewer intermediaries.
fewer intermediaries,
Yeah.
because if you contact, just a
Yep.
local congregation and
Yeah.
nobody can do it, now you have to contact another one and another one, and that takes too much time.
Exactly. This makes us much faster, much more efficient. Get that message out quicker to all the people who may be trained and able to perform, and have the time to do it. Yeah.
We were talking about email earlier before somebody got here. And that's an effective way to use email. Just think how many, with technology, how many people could you reach? As opposed to somebody from, Safe Families for Children calling people all day.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna reach them, so.
No, right.
And you get a broadcast email like that, you're gonna spot it in your email, and it's not gonna show up as spam.
Right.
Right.
That's gonna alert you right there that
Yeah.
there's a need that's out here.
Otherwise, it's still 1985.
Yeah.
The phone trees, yeah.
I mean, just kind of, I'm sure this is the way everybody's looking at it, but the way I would describe it is, you've got a family, they're, a mother or father with children. They're disadvantaged in some way. A crisis strikes and it becomes an extra burden.
Yeah.
They may be challenged to even put food on the table, watch their kids, make sure they go to school. So you want to give, the parent support to deal with whatever that problem is.
Their immediate problem is, right. So you're
It's not just an
backfilling.
overnight thing, it's,
Yeah.
it could be a few days or weeks. Or
Right, it can be
a couple of
short
months.
period. In fact, like I say, most of them are six weeks or less.
Yeah.
They're not there for a long period. It's not meant to replace foster care. They're not equipped to do that, but it's to help over those short emergencies that erupt, and families don't have any other place to go to get that help.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do, fill that gap, that void.
I know we're over time, but there is a logical next step too, like Kathy was talking about with Ruth's Closet, that we would we could identify some things that people
Yeah.
could donate, and that we could
Yeah.
set that up so that
Right.
we have that for the family friend or whatever to provide that we know.
Send it
whatever.
out in a monthly newsletter and say, here's what
Exactly.
we're looking for, that
We're looking
build our closet.
Right, yeah.
And here's the things we're not looking for.
Yeah, if you have this, don't bother.
Don't bother.
Not send iPads, iPhones,
Yeah.
VTech, electronic toys or anything.
None of the stuff that I would gather.
Recycle it.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, thank you all for,
Thank
Nice
you.
presentation, Chuck.
If we could just close out with a short word of prayer here. Dear God, we know that there are folks who are in need. There are families that are in need. We ask you to continue to send your Holy Spirit to guide them, guide to Safe Families, and help us to be a resource for all those folks who are in need. We ask you to bless us and continue to allow us to share the blessings that we have with those in need. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Let's close this out. Oh, I got this.
All right.
Thank you, Chuck, for volunteering here.
Chuck, thank you very much.
Want to see them back.